Disability Supports and Services Program. We're doing therapeutic communication and documentation. Last week we spoke about a little bit about the elements of communication. So you remember those? Words, right, make up only about 7% of our communication, of our messages when we're relaying with people. What else is important?
Tone.
Tone, so that paralanguage, tone, voice.
Body language.
And body language, you got it. So we have words 7%, tone and voice, those kind of paralanguage, those sounds make up 38%, the other 55% comes from body language. Great. So now today we're going to work on that, continue on with our healthy communication and creating I messages that support healthy communication. So how do you, and so just, I'm going to get into that in a little bit. Before we do that, how do you feel when somebody blames you for something? Steve? Like not picking
Not good.
off school?
Yeah, not good.
So, not good. I'm just gonna put some words here. Not good.
Like
Anybody
ashamed?
else?
Like feeling ashamed?
Ashamed.
Defensive.
Defensive. Ashamed.
Angry.
Angry. And we know that anger is usually a secondary emotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we take that a little step further, frustration. What are other primary emotions? Sadness.
Hurt.
Hurt,
Hurt.
yeah. Feelings are hurt.
Hurt feelings.
I can go into sadness, I guess.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So is there better ways, so again, this kind of ties back into health communication and conflict that can occur, right, with communication. Are there better ways that we can address conflict than blaming people?
Maybe not looking at the negative and finding the positive in a situation.
Finding positive. Positive.
Celebrate the successes opposed to
Celebrate
picking up the failures.
successes.
Making a negative a positive.
Okay, so negative,
So
positive.
how, what is it that, if something's being done wrong or incorrectly, then how does that help you learn?
Yep.
So it's improvement, opportunity for improvement.
And what about focusing on the issue, not the person, right?
Yeah, what's the problem, not who is.
Focus on issue, not the person. Or the issue with the person, but, with not the problem, I'm calling the person the problem.
That's wrong.
Person.
Well,
So
with this, but actually, you know what, no,
No, but I mean.
a person can be the problem.
Yes.
That may need to remove the problem
Sure.
from a situation.
Yeah, and we're gonna look at that, kind of those conflict scenarios next week, so that's a great lead-in.
Cool.
But for today, we wanna work, and so this is where we can take you messages and turn them into I messages that focus on the issue, and help alleviate some of that defensiveness, right? So I want you to finish these sentences here. So you messages, just going back and forth, carefront instead of confront. Okay, think about that one. When we carefront is a term that we use. We care enough about the relationship, right, that we still want to work out the issue because we want to build that relationship or at least maintain it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we use that term carefront instead of confront, because confront kind of has a negative connotation with it, for sure. You messages, and I'm going to ask you for some samples here. They're attack messages. You never, so I want to get some examples that you have. They put people on the defensive. Think about when somebody says, you didn't do this, or you never do that, or you always do something wrong. What happens? You get your back up. That connect with people? Prolong the conflict, right? It's at the person, not the issue. And it often puts people down. Not always. You did an amazing job. That's not putting people down, but a lot of times we're kind of preconditioned to focus on the negative. I messages, so authentic messages, we're gonna work on that, and we have a little handout there, but we're gonna work through these. Returning you messages into I messages, they're more authentic. What do I mean by authentic? Remember from last week, right? It's facts and feelings, okay? So it's with facts as well, so we have that. It comes from the heart and head kind of thing. Giving people the information they need to make changes, right? So we can't change people, we know behavior serves a function. People need to want to change for themselves, have to connect with that. So iMessages help that. It's not perfect, but it will help that. Empowers people to change their own behavior in a non-judgmental fashion. Okay. You know what I forgot to do? lesson plan for my hook, my bridge. Anyways, I'll explain it. It's basically two people pointing at each other and they're blaming each other, saying you didn't, and the other person's you didn't. Okay, so that's my bridge. And the Google here, it's a caricature of two people. Actually, it's about, after I brought it up, it comes from an infidelity something. I'm like, but I just use the you and you, so I apologize. I can bring it up at the end if there's time.
Sure.
Post
so-
it to Brightspace.
Post Brightspace, exactly. So what are some things that you've heard, or you've used, or other people you've heard use? You never, finish that sentence for me.
Let me down.
You never let me down.
You never let me do anything.
Yeah.
Never let me do
You
anything.
never let me talk.
Do anything. Never let me talk.
You never
Never
listen.
listen.
You never called safe arrival?
You never-
Call safe
You're gonna hear that for a while.
arrival. Okay, so we're using this, again, we can be using the positive way, but we're kind of focusing
Totally.
on some negative things. So, unfortunately, board space here, but you never, what about you always? And those other things, you always, in
Let
a
me
negative
down.
way. You always let me down.
Yeah, you always screw up.
You always do that.
You always do it wrong.
You always do that.
This is like,
Do it wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do. Okay, these are some great examples. So, what happens when you've heard that or people have used that? Right?
Tune them out.
They
You
tune
tune them,
them
you
out.
do tune them out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
defense, they,
Mm.
yeah.
Or you start to beat yourself up a little bit. Maybe you don't feel confident, so you don't want to be around the environment, so.
And you also get on the defensive and you attack back. So remember the attack message?
Yeah.
You're gonna attack back.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you always do it wrong, and then you find something that they do wrong, and
Yeah.
you go back at them, and so it becomes, instead of the issue of what was wrong, it becomes the
It
stuff that's
escalates.
been hashed out 5-10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted, so from these examples, if
That's
you
so
flip,
true.
if you flip the page here, okay, if we can go to the next slide, on the computer there, just click over.
The clicker should work there.
Oh, sorry, okay,
Yeah.
this is the only second slide anyway. So formulating an iMessage, okay? So an example, and I'll go back to these examples. You always leave the gas tank empty, okay? What you wanna do is describe the action. So if this is the example, when the gas tank is empty,
Mhm.
I feel. Be authentic. How does it make you feel? Okay, could be anxious. I have anxious here. That's my example. Why? Right? Just don't leave it at that. Because I may be late for work. It's a real concrete reason. With these iMessages, they can be very powerful tools because the person takes the onus off of them that they left the gas tank empty and say, I never thought about how that impacts others.
It reminds me of that Friends episode about the toilet paper.
Yeah, so that would be a great clip for,
Right.
for a bridge or something,
Yeah.
right? So describing the action, you say you're feeling, and because. Now, when the gas tank is half full, I feel anxious because it means I have to fill it up in 3 days' time. Is it gonna have the same meaning? Probably not. So again, it needs to be authentic, don't use it to manipulate people, because if you start using these, you know,
Yeah, or you could be like, when you drive the car, I feel that if you use all the gas, I can't get to work on time.
so that becomes a you message embedded in an I message, so we need to
Passive
get away from
aggressive.
passive aggressive, exactly.
So we don't want
Yeah.
that.
So if we use these examples
Not that that's
here,
what I do,
you never called safe arrival.
right?
When safe arrival wasn't called, so for Steve's wife, partner, when safe arrival wasn't called, I felt, how do you think she felt?
Oh, she said she felt like a bad parent.
She felt,
Aw.
she felt upset.
Yeah.
Because I felt I was being judged by others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it had nothing to do with Steve,
Steve.
right? But we get the understanding about the
You are a
importance.
terrible parent.
You better pick up flowers.
Husband.
Now, so it probably makes, Steve's probably gonna be more likely to make that change in his behavior next time.
Yeah.
Rather than if she said, you never called safe arrival, you never do anything right, you know, all of a sudden it takes the focus off the
Yeah.
issue and it's on the person.
Yeah.
And so then he gets defensive and he may go back, okay? So we can try some of these other ones. You always do it wrong. I put always and never because those are absolutes. When we use absolutes, typically people that may do things wrong, they don't always do something wrong. Or you never talk. Well, they probably do talk, but maybe so we need to really, sometimes might have to flesh these out a little bit more. So you always screw up. When you screw up, right? So we might have to be specific. So some of these may be general, and that's the thing. So give me an example of somebody who said screw up. Screw up what? What?
A task,
Like
Emptying the dishwasher.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, you always put it in
when
the wrong spot.
the dishwasher's not emptied, I feel upset. Well, why? Because it means it's gonna take me longer to prepare supper because I need to do that. So it has to be a legitimate reason, it has to be legitimate to make it meaningful. Because if you just start making things up, you're not gonna be authentic, you're not gonna be believable, and so the person's not gonna trust that it's coming. So these are really effective for helping deal with conflict before they escalate into crisis, but also dealing with the issue rather than blaming the person. Because then the person comes back and paraphrasing and things like that really work out well because you find out the reason why they're not emptying the dishwasher. And, so it becomes a conversation rather than a back and forth task. You never listen. When I am not heard, because that person may be listening, maybe they're not understanding, I feel, what? Think about yourself if somebody's not listening to you or hearing you.
Not nice.
I feel
Ignored.
I feel ignored because, again, it may be, because I don't feel like I'm having value, right? I'm not being ignored. So it comes back to that instead of, you never listen, you always, when you always spend too much money. When money is overspent, I feel worried because I'm afraid we're not gonna have enough money to pay this month's bills, right?
Yeah.
Rather than going at somebody, you're always spending money on stupid stuff, right? The issue is the money being spent and it's connecting back to, okay, everybody feel okay with that? Any questions? So you have a worksheet there.
No, I'm really starting to think about myself now.
So if everybody go to Socrative.com,
Yes,
I didn't get a worksheet.
okay,
Oh, down
right
here.
here, sorry. Maybe, I didn't pass it out, that's fine.
okay.
These are,
No.
no, sorry, I want you to do the Socrative first, and I'm gonna pass out the worksheet. If you go to the Socrative, Socrative.com, and you go to student login, and there's 3 questions. The first 2 I didn't write on the board because they're in there. How well did you understand today's material? So this gives me an opportunity, I'm gonna review that, and then I can, next week's lesson, we
submit the
can
answer.
go through. What did you learn from today's class? Then the third question, it's not written in there, but I wrote it on the board because it's just the way they do this exit ticket. Okay, and while you're doing that, I'm passing out your homework, okay? So I want you to take a copy of this U-message exercise and complete it for next class. We will continue our work on healthy communication next class and begin work on conflict and relationships. So the first page is 2 pages, gives you some examples. And then the last one, I want you to go and talk to family, friends, or coworkers and find out U-messages that they use or you use and try to turn them into iMessages, and next class we'll review them. Have some fun, don't worry, it's low risk, it's just an opportunity to kind of explore that and maybe look at some of our own habits in using U-messages.
Please answer the teacher's question. There's that. Oh,
Third question's right there for Socrative.
Oh, I didn't know it was up there.
That's okay. Okay, and also, if you check on Brightspace to summarize, okay, again, about healthy communication, the words that we use, even though it's only 7% of the meaning of the message, it can really turn something to deal with, really can make it more negative than it needs to be. Again, we wanna turn it around and focus on the issue, not the person. Give that person an opportunity to change their behavior if it's meaningful for them. And if it's not meaningful for them, then we need to connect with that why. I have two resources here posted on Brightspace, okay? I talk about I language and communicating perspective during conflict, and why competent persons have meltdowns working with troubled students. Again, there's a little tidbit there on I messages and how even us as facilitators, as faculty and staff, how we connect with students. Very important that we're not using those you messages, and some of those examples
That's
there on the activity sheet for next class. Any questions?